Okay, question. If a genie grants you a wish, what would you ask for? Many people would say, make me rich. But what does that really mean, and how do people get there? Is it just a balance in the bank account, or is it something more? A lot of us are working hard, doing all the right things, but the balance doesn't budge. A new docuseries called What is Rich takes a closer look at how wealth is actually built, not through luck, but through strategy, systems, and mindset. Take a look.
If you are living a rich, fulfilled life, the money is going to come. The material things are going to come, right? I can't put a dollar amount on it because it depends on your lifestyle. What's important to you? What do you want to do? 2.3 is a whole lot of money to somebody that lives a very, very simplistic lifestyle. It's not a lot of money to somebody who lives an extravagant lifestyle. What is making you happy?
If you build it, they will come. Joining me is host Jerome D. Love and director Rushion McDonald with the What is Rich docuseries. Hello there, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so What is Rich? Part of what you look at in this docuseries is kind of where you came from in your family and how family dealt with money, how family talked about money. You came from a family that there's really no surprise that you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, my dad was a farmer, but went bankrupt in the 80s, and it really kind of shaped the way that I thought about money, saw money, and a lot of the things that he taught me. And that's kind of reflected in the docuseries, because one of the things that you'll find is that everybody defines rich differently based upon their background.
Some people say, as long as I'm happy and healthy, which is a good thing. Because you can have all the money in the world. If you're not happy and healthy, that money doesn't matter, right? But then there's also what is in the bank account and what kind of power you can associate with it. You're born in Monroe, Louisiana, raised in Texas, though, youngest of 4 kids, but you were raised with those old school ethics.
That was the way my dad raised me. He didn't want to have to repeat anything twice, and he told me, boy, the key to having money is to spend less than you make.
Well, there you go.
He taught me to work hard and get your education, and so many people are following that path, but it's not paying off the way that they thought it would.
That's exactly right. Because you graduate and go, well, here's my degree. Okay, but there's a now what that comes after that, right? Speaking of getting your education, hook 'em horns, you went to UT Austin. There you go. Okay.
Stop it.
Because when you go to UT, you should be able to say, here's my degree from UT, and you should be hired on the spot. All right, but it doesn't happen that way. Founder and CEO of Texas Black Expo, which is something that you started because you realized that these money principles play in every community, but especially in some communities that were behind the 8 ball historically. You looked in the black community and said, look, we know how to do this. We've done it before. The wheels came off the bus at some point, and then in some areas, but then you have the Texas Black Expo to basically put them back on.
Yeah, and the Texas Black Expo's focus is entrepreneurship, and that's also one of the things that we focus on in the docuseries. What does it take to build and sustain a successful business? Because businesses are critical to building communities and providing jobs and creating wealth.
Yeah, because there's a ceiling when you work for somebody else most oftentimes. I remember interviewing Oprah, and one of the biggest decisions she had to make was she was doing a talk show for someone else, basically, right? It was her talk show, but she didn't own it. And she wanted to leave to go shoot The Color Purple. And they said, no, you can't leave. She goes, this is such a great opportunity. They said, well, you work for us. And that was part of the decision of what she went into, of saying, she was able to maneuver and own her own show. And then, of course, as we know with that, her check in owning her show probably changed so much more. But speaking of TV, you're a 2-time Emmy Award winner. Your degree is in mathematics from, go ahead and do your Go Cougs.
Well, you know the thing about it.
Don't miss your Go Cougs. Go Cougs.
Well, Go Cougs. Come on now. Top 10.
Yeah.
Coach Kevin Sampson doing his thing. But my whole thing is that when we were starting this idea, he came to me to do a promotional video. And I'm based in Atlanta, but I'm originally from Houston, 5th Ward. I come from a different background. 6 sisters, 2 brothers, born in a 2-bedroom shotgun house. And so I came out of that community, got a degree. And so, but the process, and I've been tied with celebrities. Steve Harvey, managed him for 16 years, currently with Stephen A. Smith, Sherry Shepherd, Keith Sweat. So there's a laundry list of celebrity. That's a different type of income. And then, but he's an entrepreneur, which are really the stars of today. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Everybody wants to be a small business owner. So that is what we're talking about in documenting this series about wealth. Everyday people who have bootstrapped their way to success.
Yeah, wealth is not accidental.
Yes, it is.
And that's what we learn in here. You know, I think we're somewhat in a society right now where sometimes people go, because you have, I should have also.
Absolutely.
But it's like, well, because I worked, you should work also. I remember with this battle with even some of my family members, I was cleaning apartments to get them ready for rent, and then going in the next morning and anchoring the morning news in Austin. And so I was like, I had to put 2 and 2 together to make the rent and pay a car payment. And they were like, well, but you're on TV. That doesn't know. You don't understand. I'm not making enough money, so I still want to pursue this career, but I have to supplement my income. So so wealth is not accidental. So many times we found in these stories that you did, people who are willing to do the side jobs, whatever they had to do to keep the hopeful job alive.
And that's where we're at with the show, is that we started here in Houston, his legacy with Black Expo, so he had the legitimacy of being able to talk to entrepreneurs because he's been doing it for 24 years. And it's the biggest Black Expo in the state of Texas. And so with that being, we had credibility. We're about to start taping the second season. It's been that successful for us. You know, when we had an opportunity to be nationally exposed on Kelly Clarkson's show, that was an amazing opportunity where he made his debut of exposing everybody to this series, his thoughts.
And surprising insights that shouldn't be surprising. I think these are insights that got lost somehow through the generations, because we're talking about art. I know my parents they went through the Depression and the whole bit. I think all of our parents had some of these insights, and we lost them in future generations. Wealth has less to do with income and more to do with structure, which you talked about a little bit earlier.
Of course, you got to know what to do. It's about understanding what to do with your money. A framework that I always teach is M3: make, manage, multiply. We all make money. Now we got to manage it in such a way where you spend less than you make, and then invest it so that it can grow on its own. And simple principles like that is the foundation of this docuseries and what viewers are going to take away.
Yeah, mindset before money, which is basically what you said there, and the principles that are universal from CEOs to local business owners.
And ministers.
Yeah, and ministers, right. I remember my son, he was like probably about 5 years old once. He goes, Mommy, when I grow up, I'm going to be a billionaire. And I said, okay, you have at it, little boy. Right? But he said, he goes, but I got to first find something I can make or sell that people want. And he goes, and then that way I could sell it to them, but I have to sell 1 billion of them. I go, that's only if you're charging $1. You got to know your math. If you're charging just $1, but you charge more. You know,
the amazing thing, Deborah, is that, growing up, when we were growing up, we wanted to be a millionaire. And that number is so attainable now that people want to be billionaires. And now you hear there are trillionaires out there. So there's 81,000 millionaires in the city of Houston right now. That's a large number. So people are leaping past that millionaire number to be billionaires.
Well, remember when somebody had $1 million house?
Yes.
I mean, and still, that's still crazy. But you heard $1 million house. It was a big mansion. You can drive around town and see a bunch of houses that are in that $1 million range. You go, that's it?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Things have changed. That's right. All right. So bottom line of what people can take away from this series.
Now, host.
It's going to be systems and frameworks that you can use to build wealth, to create wealth for your family, build businesses, so that you can create a better lifestyle for yourself and your family. Because ultimately, that's what we all want, to be able to provide for our families, to be able to be protected, to be able to control our own destiny. You can't do that when you don't have the resources.
Yeah, and I love when you're basically saying with that hard work, because so many people want to start at the end goal and not pay attention to what it took to get there. We see where famous rich people are. We don't oftentimes look at what it took for them to get there. That is the piece that is priceless. The priceless process to get to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'd like to say we're going to show you steps on how you can be a millionaire too. And that's key when you're watching this series, is that we're not just not lifestyles of the rich and famous. We want you to be rich and famous and tell you how you can be rich and famous by interviewing people who provide us the steps of how they made it that would inspire you to do it too.
Yeah, all right, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. I think it's more important now, probably more than ever, that you can kind of just at least control your own wealth, build your own wealth, and then that way you can determine the outcome of the life that it is that you say you want. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
The What is Rich docuseries is now available to watch on YouTube. To learn more about the docuseries or to connect with Jerome and Rushion, visit greatdayhouston.com and we will connect you.